Okay. Um, there's a lot of talk of the film, so I'm gonna avoid that a little bit. But this week when we were reading everything together, I was having a harder time connecting why we were reading these pieces together. Um, the title for the week that Dr. Rainey put helped me a little bit: "The Tragedy of Disability and Love." Um, I think that disability, the tragedies of disability and love, as represented in film, are are shown through the films that we were seeing this week. But then the articles on sex and shame and the video on the National Geographic video of the man going with government funding to have sex with this prostitute um, were really more of the reality of some tragedies around love and disability, as opposed to sort of the glamorized movie versions of what might be tragedies around love. And I think the Snyder and Mitchell article was good at sort of bringing both of those things together, looking at stereotypes again in film, or the different body genres, and how disability is used to get at sensation or to have the audience feel a certain way. And then talking about disability documentaries and how disability studies and people purposely showing a different view of disability, and the Mark O'Brien piece and the Tobin Cybers piece also getting at more of some of the realities of sex and disability. Not so much love, but sex. um, I, I think the tragedy there is really that sex is something that a lot of people with disabilities are not allowed to have, are kept from, and not just sex, but shame. They're not even allowed shame or privacy, really. Um, that their bodies are public, and there's lots of examples of there's just they're constantly being viewed, and their bodies are being touched by people that are not there to love them or to have sex with them. So that is on some level tragic. Um, Mark O'Brien's piece, I have to say, the parts that I read that didn't involve the iron lung and his assistant and the chair that has to recline, and sort of his getting through the day with his disability, the actual sex pieces with the surrogate, to me, don't read that much differently than lots of the people I've worked with who are non-disabled and having problems of loneliness and connecting with people and finding partners to be intimate with. That's not strictly disabled tragedy. That there are lots of people in our lives that are not considered attractive, that have a hard time finding people that will desire them. And his discussion of sex and sort of his fantasies of what sex are going to be like, and how that relates to him as a man, those things were really bothersome to me, because I really did feel like he was falling for the same things that non-disabled people fall for that cause problems, right? To see that intercourse is the ultimate sex, and what he found attractive about the woman's body, and sort of his need to maintain without, know, and just this sort of offhanded thought at some point of, well, did you also orgasm? Like, oh, like the whole thing to me was not just a disabled thing. It's a societal issue around sex, and our expectations of, and a lot, not very much open discussion about the role of sex in our lives and how it can be better, and people living without that is something that's really beneficial or wonderful in their lives. The shame piece, I think there's a lot there, the evidence that Sivers talks about that's really there. Not having privacy when you need to go to the bathroom, and having aides get you undressed so that you can then have sex with people, and that there's no privacy. I think the issue of teaching people to masturbate, I mean, in the spirit that it's done, I think it's truly, people aren't given a chance to be private or to be treated as adults. But talking about masturbation and masturbation being part of something that we discuss openly, I think on some level, I think sometimes the kids that are sort of separated off and labeled disabled get a better introduction to what sex about than kids that are non-disabled. I mean, at the same time as Surgeon General was being fired for talking about mutual masturbation as a way of preventing HIV/AIDS, I had a friend working with kids that, adolescents who are autistic, and they were being taught how to masturbate. Okay, so I think that a lot of this isn't just about disability. It's an overall societal problem, and that because a disabled person is maybe more aware of their body, and everyone's thinking about their body constantly, that when when sex doesn't happen the way that they think it's going to, that they fault their disability. But I think that there's more of that in the non-disabled group as well. I think the goal of disability studies to mar the sleek surface of normality isn't just about showing more realistic views of disabled people, so that we can see that yes, they have command over their body a lot. Yes, they have sexual desire. Yes, they enjoy sex. That it's also to look at how normal people that are normal, quote, have a lot of similar issues to people with disabilities, and that it's a facade, it's a veneer, it's not real, and that breaking away at that or pushing on that is important.